Welcome to SkillCast, the only podcast where you learn transferable skills through real conversations. I'm Nurbanu, your host, and for season 6, we're going deeper, getting more open, and taking conversations to another level. Because some of the most powerful lessons in life don't come from textbooks, they come from people, experiences, and honest discussions. So let's begin. Welcome to SkillCast. How are you finding your time in the UK?
I am loving it. It is such a wonderful experience, and I'm so grateful to be here.
Oh, amazing. So tell me a little bit more about yourself.
Oh, certainly. So I am from Texas right now. I'm originally from Charleston, South Carolina, and born of two wonderful parents and had 3 siblings. And growing up in Charleston, I was telling someone earlier, I've been an entrepreneur since I was 5. When I was 5 years old, my mother would buy what's called freeze pots, and it was flavored ice in a little tube. And it's very hot in Charleston, so I would sell them for 5 cents to the neighborhood kids and made a lot of money. So much so that my sisters, who were 9 and 10 years older, had to come to me to borrow lunch money. So if they were late, they had to pay, double of what they bought.
Wow.
Act like they're kneecaps. Not really. So I had an idyllic childhood and really enjoyed it. I grew up and became a journalist. I was a newspaper reporter for a number of years and decided that while I love writing and I still write today, I've authored 5 books, I really wanted to do more for society, more for the community, and I started volunteering. And I'd always volunteered. My family is a family of volunteers. My father was a Baptist preacher, pastor. And so we've always worked in the community. And through that work, I stumbled into nonprofit or NGO work and didn't think I would choose it as a career. And it chose me. So in doing so, I just went from one nonprofit to the next, to the next, to the next. And I often laugh and tell people that being a newspaper journalist, you are knowledgeable about so many things and the master of none. Absolutely not. But I learned a lot and just continue to elevate myself and continue to go to school. And I have now been an executive, a CEO, running nonprofits for over 25 years.
Wow, such a journey.
Yes.
So tell me, so you went from being this born entrepreneur, let's just say it was like deep rooted within your veins from the age of 5, and then you went on to become a news reporter. Was it, and you decided to work for someone? How did that transition sort of feel? Because someone like me who I've worked for someone before, I've been employed before, and then I decided to become self-employed. So I'm self-employed at the moment. So going from being employed to self-employed, that's easy. But going from being self-employed to employed, that's different.
Yes.
Tell me about that journey and how did you feel about having to report to someone?
Well, that does not bother me. I have now I have a board of directors, and so my board of directors is comprised of 13 people, and so I have 13 bosses. But they are incredibly supportive and wonderful. And what I love about Goodwill, I'm now the CEO of Goodwill Industries of East Texas. Goodwill is a match or a mix between the nonprofit world and the business world, and it's called a social enterprise. So we have the freedom to create businesses that serve our community. And that is how we make our money to provide the education and the skill building and the leadership courses and all of the other things that we do for individuals with barriers to employment. So whether that barrier is a disability or it is a previous prison incarceration or it is a single mom, who is trying to upskill herself so that she can, make a life for her children. We do all of that. And we use our retail stores as well as the other businesses that we operate to fund that enterprise.
Wow. Okay. It sounds like you're very much about working together. You give a very collaborative sort of view rather than saying, I'm on top, I want to make my decision. I think, and what I feel is that's really important. When you've got multiple voices, it can really enhance a project because it becomes a group collaboration. Everyone adds a little bit to something else rather than having someone who kind of just says, I know what I'm doing, this is what we're doing. There's no kind of, their collaboration is not there. That freedom of voice is a bit like, yes, you've got freedom of voice, you tell people what to do, but what if you're wrong? You need to think of it from other people's perspectives, because I think especially working for a nonprofit, you're doing good for others.
Yes.
And I think that's really the deep-rooted essence in that.
Yeah. And what you're describing is really what I term as inclusionary leadership. You know, where you are bringing everybody to the table, you're getting their ideas, you're talking to them, you're allowing them the freedom and the space to make mistakes, because we learn from those mistakes. It's just feedback. To launch new programs, you know, and my staff come to me all the time, can we do this, can we do that? And I said, okay, the first thing we have to figure out is, how are we going to pay for that? You know, how are we going to make money doing it? How are we going to pay for it? Who are we serving and why? What's the problem that we're trying to solve and why? And if someone else is doing it, let's just collaborate with them. You know, let's just help them.
I love that. Why do you want to reinvent the wheel when you can collaborate with something and work with them and you multiply rather than starting something from scratch? And I think that's a big mistake people make, especially when they start, especially with startups, rather than saying, like, someone's already doing something. And now if you're going to do the same as them, now you're just competing. Why don't you do something a little bit different? And then you pitch to them and say, actually, you know what, you're doing this, but I can add a bit of value to it. And I think we could work together. But giving them a reason to work together, I think that's super important as well.
Yeah. And, you know, I say that collaboration is my superpower. You know, bringing different voices, different people, whether it is a for-profit business or whether it is another nonprofit or some community group, some civic group, and working with them to, again, solve the community's problems, solve the region's problems, whatever that is. And that's the wonderful thing about working for a nonprofit, because that's what we do. Now, we're fortunate in that we do provide our own underpinning. We do provide our own revenue. And so we're not solely dependent on, you know, government funding or anything of that nature. So it gives us that freedom to be able to really create and be innovative.
So how do you fundraise?
Most through our stores. We have thrift retail stores. My thrift retail stores bring in about $13 million a year.
Wow.
And then I have a manufacturing facility, and it brings in $4.2 million. And so all of that goes to provide the classes and the schools and all of the other things that we do. One of my passion projects, I have a couple of passion projects, 3 of them, I guess, 4, maybe 5. Anyway, a lot of passion projects. But one is Good Tech Academy, and is an IT academy. And we teach everything from basic computers all the way up to cybersecurity. And it's hands-on. So in most universities, they teach theory and you learn about it, but they're not going to let you touch their server. We want you to touch it. We want you to try to break it. And then you have to fix it. We want you to touch the computers, take them completely apart, and then put them back together. We want you to, we will load the server with a virus, and then the students have to figure out how to contain it and how to get it out of there.
I love that. That is the best way to learn, right? When you get your hands dirty, that's when you learn the best. It's what we learn through just experimenting, exploring. And it's a kinesthetic sort of learning attitude. So that really makes sense, because it opens it up to all types of learning. Because not all learners can do theory.
Yes.
Theory is difficult. I've got dyslexia. I can't always read and write. But when I'm actually trying something, trying to explore something, I learn it, and I end up with probably better grades than people that just do the pen to paper, computer typing sort of aspect, way of learning now.
Yeah, that definitely is important. Learning the different styles. Early in my nonprofit career, I ran an adult literacy program, and I really started to study about the learning styles of adults, how they learn, kinesthetic learners, you know, a lot of individuals learn by doing, whether it's children learn by doing, but adults also more so learn by doing. And so our entire way of providing services is to have the individual in the environment and them learning it. There's no mock anything. They're doing it for real, you know. One of the other programs I love is that I started and have now expanded to other Good Bowls is called Good Biz. And it is a 7-month leadership boot camp for entrepreneurs of color.
Interesting.
And it's so interesting. And they have businesses all over the place because I recognize that small business owners are the underpinning of our economy.
Sure.
You know, they're important, but we want to help them to scale, help them to grow, and then be there to support them in their journey because it can be lonely at the top.
Yeah, no, and what's really interesting I find with small business can scale much faster than a larger organization because with the smaller scale, like solo owners or companies, they can make quick decisions and they don't need to go through a chain of directors and boards to make a decision. And by that point, if it's just 2 directors, they've probably made this product or service before this massive, large corporation has even got to stage 3 of approvals.
Exactly. And, you know, part of my desire to do that is because, as I told you, at heart, I'm an entrepreneur. And so back in 2018, I launched another business for myself.
Okay, what's
that's
that one?
called Motivational Muse. Motivational Muse. And so I offer executive coaching, consultations mostly to nonprofits, and public speaking. And so I do all of those various things. And now I have a new project that I want to tell you about because I'm so excited.
Okay, tell me.
Okay. So I have a podcast and I do the blog and I do all the things, right? So I am now launching a podcast called Plated Perspectives. And
I love your alliteration, by the way, like motto to muse,
yes,
plated.
exactly. You know, it has to rhyme, it has to, has to roll off the tongue, you know. But with Plated Perspectives, we'd be sitting at a small dining room table that is already set, beautifully set with lovely linens and china. And I'm interviewing global change makers who make room for other people at the table.
I love that. That's beautiful. Because it's all, everything happens in a boardroom, happens through a conversation, and doing it in a casual, natural way is so beautiful because they say that it's a bit like being in the right frame of, being in the flow state.
Yes.
Flow state is where creativity happens, and people, especially foodies, if we can get those foodies over nice fine dining, even fine dining even, and having these natural organic conversation, and your creativity just splurs out because you're enjoying the moment. So I love the essence, the beauty behind it.
And you know, when we're entertaining, we take time. You know, you're not just slapping some food on a paper plate.
Yeah.
You know, you're setting the table, you're bringing some flowers, you have just the right dishes, whether you're cooking it or you're catering it, and it's a beautiful setting. And then you invite your guest in. So you're intentional about the meal, you're intentional about the setting, and that then, as you say, it helps everything to flow. The conversation flows beautifully.
Yeah, because you're being mindful, you're bringing yourself back to the present moment, because mindfulness is hard when your mind is full.
Yes.
So by you intentionally doing something, intentionally creating how your flowers are going to be placed, how the napkin's going to sit, how the angle of your fork, if you're one of those like OCD sort of people.
I am.
It needs to be this way. And then when you invite people, you're now going to be present with those people. So everything has, I feel like there's a deep meaning behind everything. And I see why it's your passion project, because you're so about, you bring things from the heart. You lead from the heart. You lead from the mind, but you also lead from the heart. And I think I can really feel that balance and and having so many verticals, so many multiple things going on for you at the same time. It shows that you love that balance. You love to serve. You love to help. It just comes supernatural. I love that.
You are in my brain. I just really are.
We're born soul sisters. Different generations.
We're connected.
We're connected somehow. Completely different generations speaking each other's love languages.
It's so interesting because I do consider myself a servant leader and there to serve my community my staff, my family, friends. And I enjoy that. You know, I enjoy making people feel comfortable in my home. I don't get to do it nearly as much as I would like to. So I'm being intentional about doing more of that. In fact, I've invited a group of ladies. We're in a women's executive network together. And they're coming to my home, and I'm going to do a whole tablescaping workshop and nibbles and, you know, all kinds of treats with them. So that's going to be super fun.
I think I need to move to Texas, come to Dallas.
You're invited.
I love it. You hear that on the podcast, guys? I'm invited.
Yeah.
I love that. No, I think that's such a lovely thing. I think it will be really nice to kind of I think one entrepreneur speak to another entrepreneur. I'd love to kind of scale this now, make it a global tradition. So every country, you kind of plan your calendar. It's like, I'm going to travel to X, Y, and Z, and hopefully you have friends in those states or in those countries, and be like, let's collaborate on this perspective, plates and perspectives concept. And I think it has so much scope and so much potential. It's fun. Even if each one has like a theme or something, that you
I love
like,
a theme.
Yeah, and what would be really nice is like, because every month there's some sort of awareness going on. Like the month of April was a month of autism, for example. Or this May is to do with mental health and stress. So having a theme, so when you do go to these countries, let's talk about how stress happening, what's stressful in your life, what are strategies are you doing. I think it's such a lovely thing. Sorry, I think I'm adding to your
I'm gonna take that idea. That's fantastic. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, it's been so nice having you on this podcast. But before we end, I just want to know, what else are you doing? What other passion project have you not told me about that's in the pipeline that our audience might be excited to hear about?
Well, you know, there's always something. I have been thinking, we're here in London right now, and I am a huge fan of cozy mystery novels.
Interesting.
And so I've never written a mystery novel, but I'm an avid reader. So I've been thinking about that. And in such mystery novel, I may or may not have killed my ex-husband, my husband, as I call him. But, you know, you'll have to read the book, read to see.
Nice.
But yeah, you know, there may be another book coming sometime in the future. But right now I'm focused on plated perspectives. But who knows? You know, things just seem to appear.
Yeah, you seem like a very creative. And I think all of these initiatives that you're doing requires you to be present. And when you're present, your creativity unleashes. And I think that's probably the deep message, the deep essence of our conversation is about being present and that creativity unleads, and just being brave enough to try something new every time. Don't just keep it with you, make it happen.
Yes, I love that. Make it happen.
Make it happen. Thank you.